World Championship of Drone Racing. It's the Drone Champions League with me, Matt Andrews, and we're on to our 7th race day of Split 2 of 2024. Our 7 teams have been battling each other. This is their final chance to get a position in the Split 2 finals. So let's take a look at how it's going to work out today, with Raiden Racing kicking us off as Visem Mayan, Valprim, Batu and Yuki. They have been the same team all season and putting in great performances. Their opposition have been changing their roster a few times during Split 2. Mach 1 have got Labeba on the left and Hologram on the right, who've been in every race. Today they're joined by Steph FPV and Natahova. China Dragons went through the most roster changes in Split 1, but they have stuck with Hosu, Gabri Prince, Zapita and Ion for all of Split 2. Only Ion and Gabri have got any wins so far. Their opposition are the DCL Wildcard Team, a team put together of pilots trying to make a name for themselves and giving them a chance. Chugakva, West FPV, Super Spyro and Bambi are racing today. Our third matchup has the Spain Drone Team, SDT, who are here with Danube, Silvio, and then Red Sheep, who's just 8 years old, and his older brother, Platon Air, who's just 15. And this final matchup will see them against Quad Force 1, our American team of AK Drones, Hyper, QT FPV, and Leviathan. They really do need a big win today. Here's why. The winner of SDT and Quad Force 1 will face Raiden in the Split 2 finals. The loser, they'll go up against the undefeated Cyclone Racing. So we'll have 3 matchups for you to enjoy, and each matchup has 3 races, 2 pilots from each team against each other in the first, the other 2 from each team in the second, and then all 8 pilots race in the DCL Big Heat. 4 points await you if you win any of those races, 3 if you come in second, 2 for third, 1 if you come in fourth. Nothing else for the pilots who finish 5th place and lower in the DCL Big Heat. The team with the most points from the 3 races gets 3 points. It's 1 point if it's a draw. And we're back at the Great Wall of China in Simitai, the same track we flew on days 5 and 6. So our pilots should know it by now. Looming in front of you, that's the Waffle. A complicated series of twisting turns. Then you go through this Foxeer gate, around that rooftop and dive down to the courtyard. You zip through here and a few twists along the way. Under one hurdle, go over it and then go over and go under the other hurdle. Come out through this ring and you're heading towards the dam. The first gate you go over the top of and then through. The second gate you go through and then around and over the top of. Then we have a corkscrew with 3 turns. You can expect it to be flown a lot tighter at race speed. 3 gates here for a slalom under the bridge, and then it's a ladder up on the left hand side and a split S down on the right hand side to finish. As usual, it's 3 laps. So let's send it into the sky over Simitai with Raiden Racing and Mach 1. It's going to be Visem Mayan and Batu against Labeba and Hologram. So now we'll see what it's like to race this track, Temple of Speed, at speed. This is Batu's view with his teammate Visem Mayan just in front of him. There they go through the Foxeer gate, and then this is the courtyard again. On board this time with Visem Mayan in the lead. There's that tricky turn and under the hurdle before you head out towards the dam through that ring. That's Batu going through the ring. To the dam, 2 gates here, over the top and through, then through, back around and over the top, and then this is that corkscrew with the 1, 2 and 3 turns there, and then we head under the bridge. Visem Mayan pulling away from his teammate Batu and starting lap number 2 already. Behind Batu, Labeba and Hologram unfortunately lagging a bit behind at this stage. Batu just goes through the waffle there with a little bit of a hesitation before entering it, but he's got plenty of room, although doesn't want to slack off too much as Labeba and Hologram would love to catch him. But there's Visem Mayan leaving the courtyard. Just saw Batu going into the final sections of it ahead of him as he did. That's him threading his way with all of his experience and onto the river section. And Batu is into the river section, quite literally. He hit the first part of the corkscrew pretty hard. That sent him down into the water, bounced off the surface. So he's still flying, and his teammate, thankfully for him, is well ahead on lap number 3. Batu is nowhere near as close to Visem Mayan as he was, whereas the 2 pilots from Mach 1 are a lot nearer to stealing second place from him. So Batu's got to make sure no more mistakes as he heads around. And Visem Mayan, his teammate, looks like 4 points is absolutely assured. There he goes now, down through the slalom to the last section. Batu is just completing the dam. Visem Mayan is completing the whole thing comfortably ahead of him. Then Batu is onto the river now. Labeba and Hologram are at the dam, but a couple of obstacles too far behind. Batu gets the second. That's the 1-2 for Raiden. You can actually see there that Batu was 10.5 seconds behind his teammate at the end. But this man is no stranger to being in the front. 7 points to 3 out of this, led by Visem Mayan. Both of them nice and tidy through the waffle at the beginning. But this is Batu hitting that corkscrew, and thankfully for him, not getting stuck in the river. Not having to respawn from there, so it didn't take him long to recover, but the pilots from Mach 1, the Baber and Hologram, were a lot closer and a lot more threatening at that stage, but he managed to pull away. Now we'll see what Valprim and Yuki can do when they're up against Steph and Natahova. We're going to jump into the action on lap number 1 with Yuki in second place, just about making it through the dam, almost tripping up there. Now he's into the corkscrew and too close to it. And that is a messy run from Yuki so far. His teammate Valprim out in front, then Steph and Natahova are behind as we start onto the next lap. This is Yuki, who is just edging alongside Valprim at times, but Valprim is very good through that waffle. Back with Yuki's view down towards the courtyard. Valprim still in front of him. Now they go onto the first hurdle and then turn for the second. No, Yuki's missed it! He had to go back and collect it, as when he did the drop the first time, he fell in front of it instead of going over it and coming back under it. You can see Yuki isn't hanging about. He's not playing this safe at all. Look at the corkscrew. It's trying to be so tight, but in fact that was one of the messiest ones I've ever seen Yuki do. He is clearly not slacking off here. And you might think his team manager or his teammates who aren't in this race would be saying to him, look, Valprim's far out ahead. Mach 1, they're not catching you just yet, so don't do anything crazy, but you can't usually tell a drone racer to slow down. Here's Yuki. Got to go over, then under. That's how it's done. Now he pursues Valprim. He's desperate to catch him, isn't he? Even though he's his teammate. And another crash! He's just gone too deep on the first gate over the dam. You go round over the top and then through. He went round over the top too far. Hit the left-hand side of it when he needed to go through it. There's Valprim wrapping it up, all clean, no problems for him. Yuki, bring it home now. No, he's missed the finish gate. Oh, Yuki. Oh, my friend. Oh, dearie me. He's done it again. He did that in a previous race day. Missed the finish when he was under a bit more pressure. You've got to go in, not bounce off the side. Oh, wow. Well, here's Yuki on the first lap, just desperately attacking that corkscrew and battling and rolling off of it when he should have been cleanly through it, so he lost a bit of time there. Here he is missing the hurdle drop and having to go back for that again. I've got to say, between those crashes, he did a fantastic job of gaining on Valprim. He almost made up for them. Now he goes too far here and turns and slams into the side of that part of the dam. Quick flying at times, but reckless, crazy flying and not his best at others. Can we see Yuki show us what he can really do when we go to the big heat? Well, he leads everybody out. Good start from everybody. Now into the waffle. Yes, now you've really got to keep your focus there. There's drones absolutely everywhere in your vision, and if you're Yuki, there's a few of your teammates in front of you. And based on what we just saw, he's not going to let that lie. Batu, just a little bit further behind the more experienced members of Raiden at the moment. All of them through the dam. Valprim leads everybody into the corkscrew. Now that's clean, isn't it? No adjustments there. That's how you hug it and do it so tightly. Watch him ladder up here. All good. And then the split S out. It's done. He's on his way. That is Valprim flying very tidily indeed. But Visem Mayan, his teammate, wants to get past him. Oh, he was inside him, but too tightly, and he's hit one part of the waffle. Bounced out of it, continues. This is his view now, just a little bit further behind Valprim than he was. And meanwhile, a bit further back, Steph and Labeba are right on to chasing Batu and trying to battle with him for scoring points. Remember, it's only the top 4 that score them, even in the big heats. Visem Mayan has crashed at the corkscrew. Yuki's bounced off of it into the water. They're going to need a lesson from Valprim how to fly this track, as they're quick on it, but they just can't seem to do it without mistakes. Look at Valprim go. He's out on lap number 3. Absolutely no problems for him down into the courtyard. And at this stage, he probably has no idea what's been going on with his teammates and how much Mach 1 are getting a chance to catch them. Yuki is in second place. Visem Mayan a little bit further behind. Yuki now to the second of the gates, and oh, bounces off the top of it. Visem has bounced off the dam and had to go back for the first gate. Now Valprim gets it done, and Raiden fans can breathe a sigh of relief. Yuki's in second. Visem Mayan is crashing into the 4 gates at the end. Batu's got third. Visem bounces off the right-hand side and just makes it in. There's a nice little battle between Labeba and Steph all the way through this. Well, they were both coming into the four gates from slightly different angles. I think LeBaber just beats out Steph by less than a tenth of a second. Unfortunately for Mach 1, ahead of them are all the members of Raiden Racing, led so cleanly by Valprim. I don't know what it is about China or this track. There's something about making really experienced pilots just crash or miss finishes or just push when they really don't need to. Hussein and Yuki have been in the DCL for years, and they're two of the best pilots we've ever had, and they feature in many international championships at the very top of things too. Here they're the winners over Mach 1 with their teammates Batu and the infallible Valprim. 24 points to 6. Commiserations to Mach 1. China Dragons versus the DCL Wildcard Team. This should be closer. Hosu and Ion against West and Chugakva. Hosu, good start from the newer of the pilots for China Dragons. Ion just alongside him. Chugakva blasting across his vision but not putting him off. And West is around there as well. Yeah, it's all four drones everywhere. We'll carry on into the courtyard with West now for the DCL Wildcard Team, who's got past Hosu and Ion. Ion just trying to move inside West, just trying to bob around him. Here's his view as he goes over the top now and into the corkscrew. West flies just a little bit too far past it and has had some problems there. Chugakva and Hosu are both past West up into second and third respectively, and West is only just reaching the four gates as already Ion is far ahead and out onto lap number 2. You see there, Chugakva and Hosu are in the picture, but West, who's been flying very well for the DCL Wildcard Team and their best pilot in the last couple of race days, particularly on this track, but he is out of the running here. He's still flying, but 4th place and then some before he gets anywhere near to Hosu. Chugakva just scraped through that first gate and the second one over the dam. Just a couple of little bumps there, as you can see from the sparks. So he's still in second behind Ion, and he is aggressively attacking all of these. Ion's crashed just in the middle of all of that on the second gate after you ladder upwards. Ion's hit that, and I've seen him have problems with that whole set of 4 gates on recent race days too. So Ion has crashed there and recovered, but he's a little bit further behind. Hosu, his teammate, is now leading the charge for China Dragons in second place, and Chugakva is quite a long way ahead of him. And what Chugakva needs to do now on this final lap is get it done for the DCL Wildcard Team. He doesn't need to do anything crazy. He doesn't need to do anything particularly aggressive like we've seen in the runs in the earlier matchup today. Just thread those 4 gates and get the 4 points. And he does! And Hosu, yes, you can see on his face, he's thinking, oh, I had him. I could have taken him. But Chugakva just stayed there in front. Hosu gets second place. And with that, and Ion behind him, it's going to be a 5-point all matchup. Congratulations, Chugakva. His first win of Split 2, and he only won 1 race in the whole of Split 1. So good to see him getting on the scoring chart again. Good to see Hosu flying so well under pressure. He's keeping up at the beginning, and then when Ion had that crash nearer to the end, Hosu was battling strongly and giving Chugakva something to think about. Blink and you'll miss it. Ion crashes now. Yes, trust me, he is in there. It's at the top of the ladder on the left-hand side. Gabri and Zapita will now take on Super Spyro and Bambi. 5 points all after that first matchup. This could also be extremely close, although Zapita, the very young pilot for China Dragons, has got caught on one of the very early turns and finds a big gap between him and the 3 pilots in first, second and third. We're on board with Gabri, who's leading out Super Spyro, and then Super Spyro's teammate Bambi from the Wildcard Team towards the dam. Here's Super Spyro's view. Let's see how they contend with the corkscrew. Yeah, not bad. Safe. And what's Bambi doing in front of them? He's overshot it. There's no way Bambi should be there, and as you can see, he's had to go a long way back. He's clearly overshot the corkscrew somehow. Briefly, it looked like he was in first, but no, he's in last place now, as Zapita has also managed to catch and fly past him. That's unlike Bambi to make a big mistake like that over an obstacle that you've got so much vision of, as like the corkscrew. You can't miss it, it's right there. Super Spyro with a little bit more to do now, as Gabri Prince is further ahead than he was, and Gabri Prince seems to be flying nicely here. And again, the teammates, team captain Ronnie Chow, he can say to his pilots, okay, this is the gap between you, or this is looking pretty safe, Gabri, don't do anything nuts here. Super Spyro is gaining on him a little bit there. That was nice work. Now towards the waffle. Gabri under a bit more pressure, just hits on the little dive down at the exit of it, just clipped it. Fortunately for Gabri, it's one of those little crashes where you carry on as opposed to be sort of deviated from the line you were looking for, so he remains out racing. The Super Spyro is a lot closer to him now, and Super Spyro will think Gabri's there for the taking. It's going to be who can hold their nerve in these really tricky turns. Super Spyro a little bit too high on the second. The third one was nice, though. And he's a bit lower than Gabri as they head out over the river. So he lost a little bit of ground, gained a little bit of ground. Can he do anything about it? Here to the finish now. Oh, it's so tight between Gabri and Super Spyro. Bambi looks like third is his for the wildcard team as Peter is a little bit slow getting away from the dam and through the corkscrew. And with that, it's a reverse, the opposite of race number 1, with China Dragons getting the win and 4th place this time, and Wildcard Team finding themselves in the middle. Yes, it was the exact opposite of that at race number 1. Wildcard Team had won that. Gabri wins this for the China Dragons. Super Spyro was fighting all the way through. Both he and Gabri Prince had very nice lines and flying, and Gabri Prince did trip on that waffle at one point, but thankfully for him, didn't cause him any big issues. And Super Spyro must have been thinking, I'm going to catch him, I'm going to beat him to the finish. And he was trying so hard, too far here. Lost a bit of time, whereas Gabri was hugging that corkscrew really well. Just 17 hundredths between them at the finish. Will it be another close one in the big heat? All 8 pilots to race this one, and the scoreline is 10 points, all after those 2 5-all scorelines that mirrored each other. Let's ride with Ion into the waffle, and the drones are even closer to each other than they were before. That's why you can't see so many of them, because they're just alongside or above or below. Yes, look at that now, a procession of them coming into the courtyard, led by Ion with Gabri in second, and then West. I know it'd be good to see a better fight from him, because he'll be really disappointed with his race earlier on. For now, this is Gabri in second, West gaining on him, moving around him in the corkscrew, nice and tight. Ion, Gabri, West into the 4 gates. West hits the first turn. Hit that really hard. Went straight down into the water and has to respawn. Oh, just as he was leading the challenge for the wildcard team. Now Chugakva is going to pick up the reins and try and take it from there. So Ion still second. Gabri now leading through the courtyard. As Gabri drops down, he'll see the yellow and red trails. That tells him Ion has got Chugakva for company. But Chugakva is turning and hitting the first of the light poles out of the gates into the dam. Oh, his charge for the wildcard team. That's taken a big knock now. Gabri continues in the lead into the 4 gates at the end of the lap. Ion follows him around, passes him as Gabri goes to the sky and gives Chugakva a chance to get back in the game. Oh, the pressure is really getting to some people today. Ion needs to keep this together. Gabri needs to not worry about where any other competitors are and just try and get the second place. But Chugakva is close for him. Now he's coming through the courtyard. Zapita has been passed by Bambi, so the wildcard team are moving up into 3rd and 4th. Can they get anywhere near 1st or 2nd? Well, it's looking like they're too far behind, but the way this track and these pilots are flying, hey, anything can happen in this last run, particularly with these 4 dangerous gates here. 4 points goes to Ion for the win. Gabri and Chugakva are in together. Bambi comes in the last of the scoring positions. We'll get 1 for that. What happened between them? Well, 16 hundredths of a second were all that were between Gabri and Chugakva. But with the China Dragons getting the 1st and the 2nd, mainly thanks to Ion out in front, that's going to give them the advantage and the win. My, another race with all kinds of incidents throughout. Gabri was in the lead for a lot of it, but just kept making a few mistakes here and there, and Ion, who has made some mistakes on this track in the past, clearly has got it a bit more dialed in now. Together with their teammates, the China Dragons get the win. It's only a small margin of 17 points to 13 over the DCL Wildcard Team. STT and Quad Force 1 could be closer still, although these teams are on different forms at the moment. Danube and Platon Air against QTFPV and AK Drones. Danube, former captain of SDT. Now that's Silvio, his teammate, but Danube still an incredibly good flyer for the Spanish team. Here he is with Platon Air, their 15-year-old young and new finding, just racing alongside him. Yeah, Danube, Platon Air, sort of side by side. Platon Air pushes past him, in fact. Got a little bit more speed. AK Drones trying to stick with these two. QTFPV behind in 4th at the moment. Danube leads everybody through the corkscrews. Platon Air's got it dialed in just as well as the far more experienced Danube. Great flying from both of them. Now through the 4 gates. Danoob's first out of there, and all Platon Air hits the wall on the turn to start the next lap. He took that far too tightly. I've never seen anybody hit that. So you can see he's pushing. That's another insight into how much a pilot in second place behind his teammate is nevertheless pushing to try and stay ahead of the opposition behind them, but also kind of wants to get the win for himself too. Here's Platon Air over the dam. Danube is already done and into the corkscrew after that. Yeah, this is all tidy, confident flying like we used to from Danube. Platon Air, though, is just a little bit shaky, just hitting most things around those 4 gates. Just forcing the drone through, really. Now here in the waffle, he's done a flat turn through the top to come out. Just a yaw turn, whereas usually pilots who are confident and aggressive there are going to invert their drone and dive down and attack it a bit like a corkscrew. That was a surprise. I guess Platon Air just maybe thought, all right, I need to calm it down, or may well have had a message saying, okay, Danube's got the win. Get us to second place. That's your job right now. I think that may have helped him. Danube is getting that win. Platon Air should have second, and does, which means Quad Force 1 will get third and fourth for QT, finishing ahead of AK Drones. But a little gap between them and the Spain drone team. Not a 5-all like we saw with China Dragons and the Wildcard team. No, Danube clear out ahead, Platon Air coming in second. When these teams met in Split 1, SDT won 16 points to 14. It was very, very close. Now here's Platon Air just making one little mistake, just getting caught and bouncing off, but still through the first gate over the dam. That gave AK Drones a little chance to get nearer to him, and there was his earlier one into the wall. So again, a race that wasn't tidy, but with a leader in the shape of Danube this time, just really comfortable. As Platon Air just rattling through those 4 gates, but got it there, forced it there. Now we see Silvio, who took over the captain role, and Red Sheep, who is the younger brother of Platon Air. They're against Hyper and Leviathan. And last season, Hyper was in Propsicle's Shadow, an incredible pilot for Quad Force 1, but Propsicle hasn't flown for them yet in Split 2. So Hyper has been scoring the majority of the wins and the points for Quad Force 1 and doing a great job of it. As you can see on board with Leviathan here, Hyper and both of the pilots from STT are just ahead of him for now. Not much between them though. Hyper heads down into the corkscrew. He's first in, but he's been passed by both of STT. He's third out and almost behind Leviathan as well. Great flying from Silvio and the 8-year-old Red Sheep as they start lap number 2, and Red Sheep hasn't crashed into the same wall at the start of lap number 2 that his brother Platon Air did. And he's just a little bit wider than Silvio in a couple of those turns, but pilots like to fly things in different ways. Some of them think going in and flying it tightly is quicker than their style. Other pilots think I'm going to take this corner wide to carry more speed. Some pilots are tackling the gates one at a time as they come at them, and another pilot's thinking I'm going to turn through this gate to line myself up best for the one afterwards. I got to say, Red Sheep really has some great racing knowledge and skills at the young age of 8. Look at him here, keeping up just about with Silvio. And Silvio is hard for anyone to keep up with. Meanwhile, the pilots from Quad Force 1, they're not keeping up with either of the pilots from STT. They are lagging behind again. Silvio's completing the courtyard. Red Sheep is just coming across it as Silvio exits. And there's looking like nothing Quad Force 1 can do about this pairing. Hyper, surely the best of Quad Force 1 this split and giving them a challenge. Leviathan has been lagging a little bit behind, but they are just not even within shouting distance of the pilots from STT. They got a 1-2.
Good job, bro.
And yes, Red Sheep, so you should be pleased, and your captain Silvio as well. What is it about 1600ths today? It's that amount again, this time between Silvio and his teammate Red Sheep. 1600ths between the two of them at the finish. Silvio was much further ahead at times. Obviously in some of the more technical parts, Red Sheep was able to tie everything up a bit tighter and gain on him. There you go, just like that, through the waffle. Really nicely done, and that Foxeer gate's not slow. Now the corkscrew, yes, we've seen tighter, but there are a lot of pilots who would love to fly it that well. In the big heat with his brother Platon Air, Danube and Silvio against AK Drones, QTFPV, Hyper and Leviathan. And if anyone can beat STT, it's surely Hyper, and he's hit the first part of the waffle. That's the easiest part, the top right-hand corner. You are flying straight at the whole thing. That's the first hole to aim through. It's not any of the technical turns afterwards. And he hit the bar square on. Oh, Hyper. His heart must have sunk. And with that, perhaps his teammates too. But he's back in the thick of things already. Okay, no, he's only in 6th. Can he charge up from there? Danube is at the other end of things, out in the front. Then it's Silvio, Red Sheep and Platon-Air, the two brothers going through that side by side. Now we have Silvio here, following Danube. And Hyper's moved up into 5th, I think, just behind everybody. So Hyper not letting that shake him too much, getting on with it, as you have to do at this professional level. Danube is the first one out of the courtyard again. Silvio's made that turn and follows him. Platon-Air's in 3rd. Red Sheep just lost a little bit of air between them all. This is Silvio again. He chases down in 2nd, and SDT are not looking like Quad Force 1 can touch them here. If they get 1 point, then this would be at least a draw for SDT. Instead, it looks like they might go and get all 10 of them. Quad Force 1, they could turn this around, but it would be a 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th to do so. You need all 10 points. It can be done. It has been done in the DCL, but only on a few rare occasions, and it is not looking like Quad Force 1 can do anything about beating SDT to 1st or 2nd or even 3rd at this stage. Silvio leads them for now. It was Danube, but Danube had a bump at the end of the previous lap, and that's where Silvio got past him. Now Platon-Air might see Danube move up. Yes, there he goes. There's Danube past Platon-Air. In front of them both is Silvio. Hyper, though, is scrapping with Red Sheep.
Good job, guys. Buena, Dani. Todo buena.
So Hyper gets a commiseratory 1 point for doing so, with 8/10 between him and Red Sheep, but everything else was the greens of the Spain drone team. Congratulations, Silvio. Commiserations to Hyper and the team in blue. Hyper's charged just straight into that frame of the waffle. Look at Silvio in some of these really tight turns. That's brilliant flying. Consistency like that is how he eventually passed Danube into the lead, but Platon-Air, the young pilot, what a good bit of corkscrew flying that is too. Yes, all this SDT team are really strong. And as I said, it was 16 points to 14 when they faced and beat Quad Force 1 in Split 1, but this is a massive 23 points to 7 demolition job of the Americans. With these 3 results then, our 7 race days are completed, and now we can look forward to the Split 2 finals of 2024. Congratulations to our top 6 teams who will be fighting there. Commiserations to Mach 1, who sadly are going to miss out. The top 6 teams get seeded like this. China Dragons and the DCL Wildcard Team start in the elimination zone with 1 life each, whereas the top 4, they go into the main round with 2 lives each. Lose a race and you lose a life. One team will remain standing at the end after extra big heats to battle along the way too. Make sure you join us for it. My thanks to our executive producer Elion for Split 2. I'm Matt Andrews. We'll see you in the skies.